You might be surprised to find out how much of the NBA's history can be told through the art of dunking. Every time we think we've seen the best dunking ever, someone comes along and blows our minds again. Dunking has changed so much that it's hard to compare past athletes to today's athletes. On that note, let's look at the greatest NBA dunkers of all time. First up at number 10, Shawn Kemp. Whoever watched the NBA in the 1990s will remember this name. Shawn Kemp was one of the best dunkers in the league at his peak. He was a very strong and fierce power forward whose slams impressed fans all over the world and made him one of the faces of his team. Kemp showed that big guys didn't have to just jump and throw the ball down. He made a way for big guys to add some style to their dunks, and the Rain Man had more style than anyone else. Kemp was probably the first NBA player who liked to dunk on the other players for fun. In the league, it has become common for players to use their bodies to try to beat their opponents, and Kemp was a part of starting that movement. If Kemp had the chance, he'd dunk on you too, and it probably would hurt. Coming up at number 9, Jason Richardson. In 2001, Golden State picked Jason Richardson as the 5th pick in the first round. He made an impact right away on the court and at the All-Star weekend. He was tall for a shooting guard at 6'6", and he was also very strong. Richardson was naturally strong, and he used that to push past many big men who were trying to stop him and dunk the ball with a lot of style. Windmills, 360s, and reverse dunks were all in his big bag of tricks, and he could do them quickly, even when he wasn't dribbling the ball. In 2002 and 2003, his second and third years in the league, he won the dunk contest, and also, he was only the second player to do that. People still like to talk about Richardson's dunks almost 20 years after they happened. Richardson's best time wasn't that long ago, and sadly, he spent a lot of time on bad teams, which made him less well known. But even after 10 years, some of his dunks still blow our minds. What's more, at number 8, Nate Robinson. During his NBA career, Nate Robinson was one of the shortest players, but that never stopped the 5'9" point guard from taking on anyone on defense with his quick feet and ability to drive. Robinson played in the NBA for 10 years, with half of those years spent with the Knicks. He was a ball-dominant player who had trouble getting the starting minutes he wanted, but he was very athletic and seemed able to jump his own height many times. His small size made his athleticism even more entertaining, and he had some of the most memorable slam dunk contest moments and many high-energy slams off the bench to get his team going. Robinson was also the first player to win 3 NBA Slam Dunk titles in 2010. Up next at number 7, Blake Griffin. Blake Griffin's game is anything but subtle, and it seems he hasn't been in the conversation about the best dunks in the history of the NBA for very long. Griffin seems to have every skill a basketball player could want. He's 6'9" and very athletic. He can score, pass, and grab rebounds. He was never known as a superstar on the same level as the best, but his accomplishments speak for themselves. As a rookie, he was voted to the All-Star game, won the slam dunk contest literally by jumping over a car, and was named Rookie of the Year. When it comes to dunking the ball, Griffin is big and heavy, but he can fly like a man half his size. Keeping these things in mind, he's a threat to any defense in the league. Since he moved to Detroit, he's slowed down a bit and injuries have held him back a bit, but he might be a better player all around now. No doubt though, Griffin is one of the most famous people ever to dunk a basketball. Followed by, at number 6, Kobe Bryant. Before he became a master of the mid-range game, Kobe Bryant was a freakishly athletic player who always attacked the basket. At the beginning of his career, he had a number of highlight dunks, including windmills and 360s. But despite all of his amazing skills, his ability to dunk is often overlooked. Kobe was supposed to be one of the greatest since he was a teenager, and he ended up being the all-time leading scorer for a team with many legends. In 1997, he was only 18 years old when he won the dunk contest, making him the youngest player to ever win the title. His list of memorable slams over players like Tim Duncan, Ben Wallace, Yao Ming, Dwight Howard, LeBron James, and many others is probably the best of all time. In so many of his gameplays, we've seen how he'd completely confuse defenders and leave them wondering what just happened as he would run back down the court on defense. Let's look at number 5, LeBron James. King James has been known for a long time as one of those players who only come along once in a lifetime. Even though LeBron James never took part in dunk contests in his whole career, he's still considered one of the best dunkers of all time. After all, he is one of the most impressive athletes the game has ever seen. Like, he's done things that only a few other players can hope to do. Our very own King James can drive to the basket with superhuman speed and easily slam the ball over 1, 2, or even 3 defenders. Most people think of him as a pure power dunker, but his skill isn't given enough credit. No one can stop him when he has a clear path to the basket. He's 6'8" tall and built like an absolute tank. Keep in mind that LeBron has dunked and done all sorts of other tricks against the best players of all time. Moving on to number 4, Dominique Wilkins. Hey, the name, the human highlight film, is not given to someone for no reason. Even though Dominique Wilkins has been out of the NBA for more than 20 years now, his name is still linked to the best dunks of all time. During his time in the league, there was no better dunker. He and Michael Jordan had what was probably the best dunk contest rivalry. He beat Jordan in 1985, but Jordan controversially beat him in 1987. Still, Wilkins went on to win 2 competitions in 1990. He was a great scorer who could score as many points as almost anyone and drive as well as anyone. He was also a good mid-range shooter who didn't get enough credit. For most players, dunking may come in the highlights of their games, but for Wilkins, attacking the basket was a key part of his game because he was almost impossible to stop. Even though he didn't win the most games on this list, Dominique Wilkins will always be known as one of the best and most entertaining dunkers to ever play in the NBA. Next, at number 3, Julius Erving. Records are made to be broken, and new legends take their place as times change. For a long time, slam dunks were only associated with one name. Julius Erving was the first person to win a slam dunk contest. He also won the first ABA contest in 1976. Dr. J's cradle dunk on Michael Cooper in 1983 is probably the most well-known dunk of all time. It's on every highlight reel of the best dunks. His dunks during games showed an incredible level of control and athleticism, making him a superstar all over the country. He was an all-star every year of his career and won 4 Most Valuable Player awards, 3 with the ABA and 1 after the 2 leagues merged. It's no shocker Dr. J was a great dunker and player, but he was also a good person and a good representative for the sport. Even players like Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson looked up to him. Not to mention, at number 2, Michael Jordan. Everyone knows that his nickname is Air, and he's the best player in the history of the NBA. He has so many accomplishments that it'd be pretty difficult to list all of them in a single video, but this is a man who needs no introduction. Jordan may have done his most famous dunk in the game of 1988 when he raced from one end of the court to the other, jumped from the free throw line, and put the ball through the hoop with grace. That dunk, which helped him beat Wilkins and win the contest, became one of the most famous images of the sport. Jordan did graceful slams during dunk contests, but he also did powerful slams through and over multiple defenders to get to the basket. Even though his dunks weren't always the most impressive, no one could stop him if he thought it was the right move at that time. Not to mention, Jordan played against some of the best defenders of all time, and none of them ever found a way to stop him. Finally, at number 1, Vince Carter. Vince has always been a great dunker, but it wasn't until the now famous slam dunk contest in 2000 that the whole world found out who he really was. Carter's slams, which combined power, dexterity, and innovation in ways that had never been seen before, are often called the best dunk contest performance in history. That's not even counting his dunks during games, like when he jumps over a 7-foot-tall defender in what might be the most famous in-game dunk ever. Vince Carter has done so many great dunks that you could make separate top lists for dunk contests, in-game, over defenders, fast breaks, and different types of dunks, and still not include all of his best. He basically is the perfect dunker. While there have been other great dunkers, none have had the same speed, flash, dexterity, and style as Vinsanity. That's a wrap for this video. What are your thoughts on these greatest NBA dunkers of all time? Let us know in the comments below. Also, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.